Welcome to Aging Well, the Next Normal. My name's Colin Milner, and I'm glad that you've come back to join us for the second part of our three-part series on aging well. And this part, we will be talking about the opportunity. I'd like you to start with a very simple thought, and that is that no matter who you are, population aging will impact your income one way or another. What do I mean by that, and how can I say that? Well, here's a few simple facts to consider. There are over 1.6 billion people in the world over the age of 50. Within most of the Western nations that actually are serving the older population, 70% of the disposable income is in the hands of people 50 plus. 1 out of every $2 spent are in the hands of people 50 plus. And 1 out of every 2 adults are 50 plus, and they actually have 70% more earning than the younger generation. And the 55 to 64-year-old category outspend the average consumer significantly. That is why today, one of the areas that is of immense opportunity for all of us is looking at how a healthier older population with that kind of buying power is actually going to be impacting society now and in the future. That individual or those individuals will create new models, or they will demand new models. They will want new rules, new industries, new programs, new products, education, and places to live. So as we look at the word new, we need to think with a new perspective. We need to look at how do we help people fulfill their aspirations? How do we empower individuals who are looking at life differently? And how do we provide access to the products, services, places, and opportunities that they seek? Well, first thing is to look at the older population as a consumer instead of somebody who is no longer of value to a company. For many years, if you were over the age of 50, companies would literally forget about you. The reality is 95% of all marketing dollars spent in North America is spent in individuals below the age of 50. Yet, as I mentioned, it is the consumers over the age of 50 that actually have the money, the capabilities to support different brands. Now, what are they looking for? The reality is they're looking for products and services to help them age well, to age better longer. That's why we see in this report that came out at the American Public Health Association's 140th annual meeting that consumers now spend more money to ward off the effects of aging than they spend on drugs to treat chronic diseases. That's a pretty staggering figure if you think about it, or pretty staggering statement as well. That's why you see even drugstores nowadays incorporating wellness and healthy lifestyles into their offerings. This is CVS in the United States that actually has a yoga studio built into one of their pharmacies. Why? Because people are looking to purchase wellness products at the same time as they practice wellness. And why not provide both to the consumer who's looking for both? Makes sense, doesn't it? So what kind of products and services will an older consumer want? And where is the opportunity for you to build, create, deliver these products and services? Well, how do you say it? It simply is unfathomable, the size of the opportunity. How we embrace it is the question. And one of the ways of embracing it is the creation of the health data economy. This is an economy where individuals, instead of giving away their health data as we do now, will actually sell their health data to companies. These companies will in turn around and utilize that health data to create products and services that are geared just for those individuals based on what they need. Yes, it is the rise of health data, and it is the rise of hyper-personalization. And we will see this within organizations like housing and senior living as well. We will see that people are looking for housing that can meet certain health conditions, whether it is living or aging in place or living in a senior living community. An opportunity is building these kinds of communities. Another opportunity is providing the products and services that go within these communities. Now, what we know today is that the senior living industry in North America is changing and changing significantly. Today, the word senior is slowly being taken out of the industry, and we now see wellness communities, villages, communal living, intergenerational communities, multi-generational communities, co-housing, all of these that are non-traditional kinds of senior living communities. Why? Because the older population today, and I'm speaking about people 50 plus, 60 plus, which really we shouldn't be talking about them as older adults. That's me, by the way, and I certainly don't see myself as an older adult. It's because we're looking for new ways of living. And these are some of the different housing opportunities for us to live in and live this new way of living. So, an example of this is Del Webb. Del Webb is owned by the largest home builder in the United States, Pulte Homes. And in their next 10 communities that they're building, they are moving from just an active adult community for people 55 plus to creating intergenerational communities for active adults to spend more time with their families. Why? Because we want to spend more time with our families, maybe a little bit different than my father's generation growing up. But the reality is we want to spend time with our families. And if you cannot provide that service, we look elsewhere. So what kind of products and services can you build that will be intergenerational? Many of these housing developments may have a bowling alley. They may have an outdoor pool. They may host family farms and fairs. And, for the kids, they may have summer camp on the property. There's so many different opportunities in front of us. But the reality is a lot of this is based on our health. So a huge opportunity is actually expanding our health span. How do we do that? That's the question, isn't it? Well, we do that through helping people to live and age well. That's why wellness is at the forefront of all of this. And we'll talk about wellness as we move further into the presentation. But think about how an extended health span would actually impact healthcare. There would be fewer people going into hospitals. There would be fewer people requiring caregiving. Even if it was for 1 year, the impact would be significant. Now, when we look at how we get there, a lot of it is focusing on wellness, providing the products and services to help people, understand and accept and act upon their capacity to lead a purpose-filled life within all areas of wellness. At the end of the day, it's about optimizing life's possibilities, and that is the opportunity for us all, whether we are living longer and wanting to optimize life's opportunities, or whether we're providing products and services, no matter whether we're young or older, for those who want to actually optimize life's possibilities. This is a wellness model that the International Council in Active Aging uses. We look at 7 different dimensions of wellness, and I found that it is very focused on the person within each of these areas, as opposed to a one-size-fits-all opportunity. And creating a person-centered approach is key to working with the older population today. Why? Well, the reality is no two people age the exact same way or at the exact same speed. And having a person-centered focus will give you precision results, and that's what we're looking for. Yes, we need to put in an effort. We may need to think differently. We may need to utilize all the various dimensions of wellness to accomplish this. Or we may need to bring in additional tools such as genomics. Think about where we were with technology about 10 years ago compared to where we are today. Think about where we will be with gene therapy, with DNA, analyzing that to figure out what kind of programs or what kind of nutrition we should actually be eating or doing. So the reality is, tomorrow will certainly not be a reflection of today, but we do need to plan for tomorrow today. We can utilize some simple tools such as pedometers, activity trackers, or even wearables that measure everything from blood pressure to heart rate variability to functional nutrition. But there are many other tools that we can use that can help us achieve a better quality of life and monitor that 24/7. If we choose. Some people won't want that, many will. An ideal example of that is the Apple Watch. Imagine how much data you can actually accumulate on that. Or the ring on the left-hand side of the screen that tells you whether you're dehydrated. Or on the right-hand side, the little cuff that will tell you what your oxygen levels are. All of this can be done at home, and all of this can reduce the burden on the healthcare system because you are able to accommodate self-care and self-wellness. By doing so, the burden on the healthcare system can be reduced, and we can catch instances before they become issues. And why is that important? Well, think about that. If you choose to work longer, which is one of the incredible opportunities in front of us if we choose to, you will certainly want to make sure that you are healthy, because being unhealthy and trying to work in certain environments just won't work for you. But we will also need to be reskilled, because some of those environments, like on the manufacturing floor, we may need to actually move from there to more of a white-collar job at a computer, and we'll need to be reskilled. Who's going to provide that reskilling? Young, old, mentors, interns, doesn't matter. There's an opportunity there. Think about what skills individuals are going to need. One is to understand how to use a computer. Two is actually to become proficient in that. And also, if I am becoming an entrepreneur, which is one of the fastest growing areas for individuals over the age of 50, what are the skills that I'm going to need for that if I've never been an entrepreneur before? Who am I going to need to turn to for advice? Will that be you, or will that be somebody else? Those are all opportunities. The reality is, to embrace these opportunities, we will need to look at the changing expectations and figure out how we respond to all of this, whether it's the aspirations, needs, wants, or most importantly, the expectations, because we do expect different things today than our parents' generation. So in part 3, we will dive further into the new models, new rules, new industries, programs, products, education, and places, and look at what it actually means to embrace all of that opportunity and what is the barrier to doing that. So before we move to that module, I'd like you to actually stop and take this quiz. Look at these 3 questions and ask yourself and answer the question, what % of the disposable income do people 50 plus represent? What kind of the economy will influence purchases, or what kind of economy will influence purchases? And number 3, what is Del Webb adding to their next 10 communities that is of importance to all of us? So with that said, I want to thank you for participating in part 2, and I look forward to seeing you in part 3 as we move forward. Thank you again. Goodbye now.